Lois, and I am here with a really neat person that I've gotten to know over the last few months, and I'm so thankful to have gotten to know him, and that's Robert Hollis Jr. And I just wanted to have an opportunity to spend some time with him, kind of hang out and get to know him a little better, and be able to offer other people an opportunity to get to know who this guy is and what he is doing that is making him so successful these days. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Robert. I want to just kind of hear about your story because you come from a very unique position with having grown up and kind of seen both sides of the world as far as working and getting a job and that mentality of, doing that your whole life. And then you've seen the other side where you've seen your dad as an entrepreneur and his success. And you had a choice to make at some point in your life. So I would love to hear your story, how you came to that crossroads and made that choice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Lois. I am it's honored to be here. I know we've been planning on doing this interview for a while, and it's an honor to finally get to do this with you. Yeah, I've had a pretty interesting, growing up. I kind of went in between my father and my mother as they were growing up. She was traveling, going to school, and of course, my father being an entrepreneur. I always felt like I, wanted to work with my father one day. And, basically when I enrolled into high school in Southern California, I was used to being in the Midwest and kind of small, schools where everybody knew your name. And then all of a sudden here I am in, huge LA County, schools. And I really never excelled, I guess I should say, in school. I was always one of those special kids. So, never really was one of my favorite things. And especially when I went to, some of the bigger schools. So, when I first enrolled there, I dabbled in skating, rollerblading for, pretty much on and off, ever since I was a little kid. And there was a huge group of rollerbladers there. So I already kind of felt accepted, you know what I mean? This little, a little Midwest boy in the big city, at least there's somebody I could relate to, And,
Sure.
I got really into that. And, with my father always kind of raising me non-traditional, I really started ditching school a lot and getting in trouble. And my father just said, listen, if you're just gonna, ditch school and get in trouble, if that's what you want to do, why don't you follow your dreams? But, of course, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to support you financially. So, I tried to do the whole professional skater thing. Of course, that didn't work out. At age 17 is when my father decided to move back to Montana. And, of course, I got sponsors, but they didn't really pay anything. And I said, listen, I'm staying here in California. And, of course, skating wasn't paying the bills. And, unfortunately, the people I hung around with, influenced me to do illegal things to make money. And, not proud of it. It's just a chapter of my life. But, if anybody's watching this for the first time, I can't stress to you, everybody watching this enough, is that, you truly become who you hang around. Yeah. So, it doesn't matter if you want to be a hairstylist, an auto mechanic, or a good bad person. I guess that's kind of an oxymoron, but, whoever you hang around is going to influence you. And, so, I was influenced to do some illegal things to make money. And of course, got caught up in that as well. Ended up going to jail and the first time was just kind of like an overnighter kind of scare tactic kind of thing. And, so I decided to go out and get a job. But of course, kept doing the bad things that I was doing. And, so basically the last time that I went to jail was kind of like, I guess I joke around, as an extended stay. And here I am, I'm, 22 years old. I got no, education, no work experience, and a criminal background.
Wow.
Yeah, and, I pray that each and every one of you watching this doesn't get to a point in your life where your back's against the wall. See, I really believe that being an entrepreneur, takes a special person. Now, what I mean by that is, I have a lot of people all the time that say, well, you can do that kind of business because, it takes a certain type of person to do what you do. But what they don't realize is before I was involved with this profession, you know, I was such an introvert. It was ridiculous. You know, I had like 10 friends. They were all skaters. I wasn't a social butterfly. I definitely wasn't somebody who'd jump on an interview like this, or certainly not get on stage to do a speech. You know, and it's just because I got to a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, my back was against the wall. I had, you know, really a fight or flight mentality, you know, because I say if you know, if I look back and didn't make the decision to be an entrepreneur, you know, I'd probably be still working for minimum wage in a, you know, in a hot warehouse somewhere, or back in jail, because I would have reverted back to, hey, you know, this job sucks. You know, you know, I used to make 4 times as much hanging out with my friends. You know what I mean? So, you know, basically the point of that is I pray that it doesn't get bad enough for people that are watching this, that they finally, out of desperation, have to become an entrepreneur. See, I just really believe that, you know, people are just so content and just, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and content with failure. You know, it's just like, whatever, you know, nobody succeeds in those anyways. You know what I mean? I love when we went to a huge conference one time with my father, and there was, I believe, 5 people up there, and they all have made over $1 million in 1 year. And they were going through and telling their story. And the first guy, you know, basically lost everything he owned. He was living in his truck with his family. The next guy, you know, was a massive drug user, you know, to the point where his family left him and he had to go to rehab. You know, the next person, my father, you know, went to jail. The person after that went to jail. The person after that lost everything they owned. You know, and, you know, the guy that was hosting the event gets up there and he says, listen, I just want to clarify something, is that, you know, you don't have to lose everything you own, be a drug addict, or go to jail to become a millionaire in network marketing.
Thank you.
But, you know, the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of times it just takes that for somebody to actually wake up and realize that, hey, I need to go to work for myself and do something for my family.
Yeah.
So, you know, at that point in my life, I made a drastic decision. I knew that I was a product of my environment, that, you know, going back and hanging out with the same people I did before was just going to get me the same results that I had before. And that, you know, in order for things to change, I have to change. So, you know, I put everything in a storage unit. I gave up, you know, my skating career, my, you know, friends, everything, and just decided to move in with my father again. You know, here's somebody that moved out on my own. I was always proud of that I moved out on my own when I was 17, and now here I am 22 moving back in with my dad, you know, like almost like my tail between my legs. Like I didn't pull it off, you know, but it was by far one of the best decisions I ever made. And, you know, of course, you know, the other cliche about being an entrepreneur is a lot of people get involved and it's like, well, hey, I've been trying really hard at this for like 2 months, 3 months, and I haven't had success. So either A, I'm going to quit, or B, find a new company. You know, people are always, oh, the new shiny thing. It's like, you know, this product is what's going to make me a lot of money, or this comp plan, or these, you know, the owners, or whatever it is. And really at the bottom line, the only person that dictates your check is you. So, you know, I really struggled. You know, my first year, I probably made like $3-4 grand, if that. My second year, I made $10,000, which is really good. But, you know, guess what? I was doing it full time. You know, it wasn't like I had a full-time job and doing this part-time. You know, 10 grand a month, you know, is, I guess, okay money because I was living with my parents, but, you know, is what it is. And of course, my third year, I made $189,000 that year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, everybody hears of, you know, Robert Hollis Jr., this, wow, overnight success. They just haven't heard that the, you know, 2 years living with my parents, struggling, not making any money. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So pretty much the rest is just history. You know, I've been working with my father ever since. I've been very fortunate now to make well over $1 million in commissions. Actually, I'm a very, I guess you should say, a blue type personality. I'm motivated by fun. And, you know, I always had it in my head that I wanted to retire on the beach one day. And of course, I was able to pull that off at age 30.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so I had my
amazing.
beautiful cars. Newport Beach, California, which is probably one of the most expensive real estates in America. Had a beach home right on the water, and basically took a whole year off. And I thought that was my version of of course my fan page, my website, caught the dream. That was the dream. And it's funny because that year of my life was probably the least gratifying and fulfilling of my whole career as being an entrepreneur, because I just stopped growing. I stopped helping people.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you kind
So,
of capped off.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, you just kind of capped off there. You kind of hit that success bar that you were wanting, and kind of plateaued.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. And, so if, anybody, another, really good tip for anybody watching this is that, you've always got to be chasing dreams. My biggest, recommendation to everybody is to dream bigger, faster, because I had this idea of, getting the cars and the beach homes and doing what I wanted to do. And I got there, and then it was like, okay, well, now what's next? So, of course, that's kind of what happened with Unlimited Profits. My father has always, the last 10 years, told me that, he wanted to start his own training company. His real passion in life is motivating and inspiring and training people. And, once we start Unlimited Profits, I've been more happy, now working 8-12 hours a day than I was sitting at the beach all day long.
Oh, that's something.
Are you there? You cut up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yep, I was just saying that's quite the contrast.
Absolutely. It was a fun year. I'll probably get there again, but not probably till Ryder's big enough to start his own family, and then I'll probably just decide to retire on the beach again.
Well, in the meantime, you're helping a lot of people, though, and I know for myself, I'm very grateful. And I think that's one of those things that you're carrying the torch of, from your dad. That's his passion, and you caught the dream financially, but now you're catching his passion or his dream in that respect, or so it seems, because you have a heart for people. I mean, and you're reaching out and making a difference. There's that visual of a stone that you throw into the pond, and when you throw it in, it makes all those ripples. And that's really kind of what I would say you and those that are following your footsteps doing Unlimited Profits are doing. It's your stone, that's your life, but it's not just affecting yourself, but it's got a ripple effect affecting all of those around you whose lives you are touching.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the compliments. And yeah, it's, by far, the most gratifying thing in this world is, really helping somebody. There's quite a few people that I've worked with over the years and mentored and coached, and to see, how far they've come personally, and not just financially, but just growing as people and being more confident and turning into leaders. It's like, I've said it on some shows before. I know when we have, some of our first events, and I see these people up on stage, I'll be in the back somewhere just crying,
For a while there, you were talking about that transition you were learning. The first year you were talking about how much you made, then the second year, and then how that built and built. Were you working through some limiting beliefs in those first, few months, that first year or two?
Yeah, I think everybody's got limiting beliefs, and, definitely working through them. And, really, there's a couple times that I just, wanted to quit. I really did. It's just going, my gosh, it's like my dad's supposed to teach me how to be this millionaire, and I gave up, everything I owned. And, Laurel, Montana was definitely a culture shock. I go from Southern California to a city that's got 2 stoplights. And gets to like 20 below in the winter. And it's like, man, it's like, would I rather just be broke and living in Southern California than, trying to be out here still I'm broke, So, definitely a lot of limiting beliefs. And, even, with speaking and stuff, when I first started, doing things like this and hosting calls and stuff, I had like the worst anxiety attacks. I can't, explain to anybody. I pray people have never had one, but I mean, just like almost like crippling, where I couldn't even breathe or talk because I was having such bad anxiety. And, I've worked through a lot of things. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I first started this, or even, to be honest, not the same person I was a year ago. It's just a never-ending journey of continuing to grow and, you know, build and just get better and better every day.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the investment in themselves, and the people I've been rubbing shoulders with since I've been in Unlimited Profits, that's one of the, I would say, I don't know if you call it a bonus, it's certainly what is changing them. It's not just about the money,
Yeah.
but about helping other people and also seeing themselves come out of themselves. I mean, they're growing personally and they're stretching themselves and seeing what they could, you know, instead of having that limited potential, it's an unlimited potential of what they themselves can do and be for others and for themselves and their own family.
Yeah.
That I find very fascinating and amazing. And I think nobody can underestimate the power of investing in yourself.
Yeah, it's by far, I don't think people realize how important that is. You know, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, have said that kind of stuff, but, you know, really at the end of the day, you got to work harder on yourself than you do your business. You know, it's like, don't wish things were easier, wish you were better, you know, and I can't stress to anybody enough that, you know, you attract, you know, who you are. You know, so the more you work on yourself, the more opportunities you're going to have, the more people are going to be, you know, inspired by you and want to work with you. And, you know, people just think it's just all about, you know, going out there and working and working and working. You know, you can even go back to even, you know, George Washington. You know, he said, listen, if you gave me an axe to cut down a tree, I would spend 90% of my time sharpening the axe and 10% swinging. And, you know, this is, you know, a philosophy all the way back from, you know, George Washington, where, you know, entrepreneurialism really wasn't that prevalent back then it is now. But, you know, that statement still runs true today.
I love that.
Now, when I get frustrated, I see a lot of people out there that just got baseball bats and they're trying to cut down trees. You know, it's like, hey, you don't understand, Robert. I'm working hard. I'm putting in the effort, but they just never take any time to sharpen their sword, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're talking to a mom who's a homeschool mom. And one of the things that I would love to pass on, which is a lot what your dad kind of was talking about the other night, was, you know, wanting to pass that heritage down to my children. You know, we live in such a precarious time, and, you know, there is no job security, if there ever was. And and so the one thing that I really want to see for my children is that they don't have to feel like they're locked into inside this box that the society is in. You know, grow up, get your degree, go on and get more education, you know, get a job, work for somebody else's dream. I like to see that they, like you, catch on that there's another way or a better way, which part of why I'm doing what I'm doing is not just for myself and my family, but in the hopes that I'm going to pass that same passion and that same heritage of being more than what the world thinks you can be, you know, and just so that they know that they don't have the limitations of the norm, I guess, because that's really what it is. Everybody thinks it's very normal to just, you know, go to school or get a job and live out the rest of your life paycheck to paycheck. And I want so much more for my family. And I know that that's the way your dad is with you guys. And we're seeing that in you. And I don't know if that's something that it took you a while, because you kind of had to embark on your own journey and make that decision for yourself and own it for yourself. And I don't know, maybe you can give advice to those of us that are doing it with our own children, you know, how we can help pass that dream on to our children and help them catch that passion and pass that on so that we are changing basically our family tree from this point forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to commend you for homeschooling your children. That is already, you know, my son's turning a year this week. And it's already a decision me and my, you know, wife has made to definitely homeschool our son. And it's just like you said, it's just putting, I think they just put people in boxes so much. And this is what you're supposed to do. And this is what you're not supposed to do. And, you know, even going back to, you know, you're influenced and you become who you hang around is you know, one of my biggest fears is, you know, we can do everything right with our son, and then he goes to a school where he's sitting next to a kid that has parents that don't care as much as I do. And then he starts to get teaching my son limiting beliefs that his parents passed to him, you know. But, you know, once again, you know, going back to, you know, the seminars that we've been to, I went to one where they had it was called an under 30 panel, and it was a bunch of kids up there that were under 30 that had massive success. And the host of it kind of caught them off guard, and he said, well, we've got 15 minutes left, so that means each of you got 2 minutes. Stand up and inspire people. And the first guy stands up and he goes, wow, that's on the spot. I have no idea what I can say. And then he kind of like pondered for a second. He goes, well, I guess I could say is, how many people in this room are parents? And, maybe about 60-70% of the room raised their hands. Sure. And he said, listen, if you don't do it for you, at least do it for them. And he said that I can't tell you how much of an effect it has had on me, which it has me, even though I went off and I did some stupid things, ever since I was a little kid, I believed I could be an entrepreneur and, believed, in bigger things, and he said it's just being in that environment where your kids are consistently around positive messages, and instead of listening, turning on rap music or whatever's playing on the radio, that you're listening to positive messages like Jim Rohn and Les Brown and my father, and it's getting that stuck in kids' heads at an early age is just ridiculous, and that's kind of what this kid was saying on stage. Of course, it almost made me cry because my son was just born at that time. And another story that I just heard, which is incredible, is another guy that I work with. He homeschools his son as well, and he's only 5, just turned 6 years old. And of course, people think this is weird, outside the box, but he says that now with programs, that the programs on an iPad can teach his son faster than he ever could. Yeah. And his son loves snowboarding. So his goal is that every morning he's got to spend 2 hours on math and certain things on his iPad for learning, and then a couple hours on reading. And then he's got to listen to motivational stuff. And if he can get all that done in the morning, then he gets to go snowboarding the rest of the day.
Wow.
Now, yeah, think about how out of the box that is. He's already said he's got, going up to the mountain, and people are looking at his, 5-year-old, 6-year-old son and going, shouldn't he be in school right now? Oh, he already did his school today. Yep. It's only 8 in the morning. Yeah, he was excited to snowboard today, so he got up at 5:30 and got his work done.
Yay.
Yeah, and one of the things that he's making his son listen to is the day one of the mentorship course from my father. And basically one of the biggest messages from that day is, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yep.
And they're out on this now. Of course, this kid's starting to get popular because he's on the mountain every day, and he's starting to hang out with the professionals, the guys that make, hundreds of thousands of dollars snowboarding, and they're hitting this huge jump. I mean, it looks like a 30-foot gap. Mm-hmm. And his son looks at him and says, Dad, I want to try that jump. Mm-hmm. And he says, you know what, son, these guys are professional. They're big kids. And he looked right at his son and goes, if they can do it, I can do it.
Oh, wow. How can you argue with him?
He's got a video, and you see these guys that are just doing this huge jump. And all of a sudden it looks like a little ant coming down the mountain, boom, and clears the huge gap that these professionals are doing. And he laughed and he goes, yeah, I always, hoped one day that my son would follow in my footsteps and be an entrepreneur. But if he grows up to be a multimillionaire snowboarder, I guess that's okay too, because he's, technically that's being an entrepreneur. At least you're not having a job. You know what I mean?
That's
so
right.
Yeah, I don't ever want when my son grows up to even think it's even an option to work for somebody. I don't care if he wants to be a musician, an artist, or, an athlete, but, in his mind, at a very young age, I want him to believe that working for somebody else is not even an option. That's what other people do.
Yep. Yep. And he may have to figure that out for himself, or he might catch it now and that's all he knows.
Yep.
He's got a grandpa and a daddy to inspire him. So
yeah.
That is great. I love that. That's, again, as a parent, you love to see your children pick up your good habits, but we know that they pick up everything. It's usually the things you don't want them to pick up. So yeah, living the lifestyle, but also teaching our children. I don't know. I know that as I get into this more and more, and I meet more and more folks like you, and my kids are meeting them, and I'm like, this is a whole different world, and it's not limited to any one person. It said if they can do it, you can do it, and You know, God has given you a potential, but it's up to you to do something with it and not limit it to what the world wants, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that we can point and direct to people like yourself, like your dad, Jim Rohn, you were giving an example of, but, you know, there's enough people out there that, that my children can rub shoulders with, even if it's, you know, through videos or audios or whatever, that they can see that there's a different way.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I have to appreciate that, because it's not just growing myself, but it allows my children to see another side that they have not seen before I, you know, started pursuing this. So I thank you for that. I thank your dad for that. It's a great thing to be able to have a heritage to pass down to your children. Okay, that's how your dad feels, you know, seeing you guys in your own, and you guys are now reaping that success because you're owning it. And I can't imagine how many of you guys. And knows to pass on to your own children.
Are you there? You were breaking up pretty bad.
Did I lose you? I mean,
Hello?
I don't know where we
Hello, hello.
got cut off.
Uh-oh, hopefully we didn't lose you there. Are you there?
I am. I keep
Hello? Uh-oh.
cutting in and out, though. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. I wasn't able to really hear anything. It was cutting up a lot. Hopefully it got recorded okay, though.
No.
That's okay. I got sorry. So, but it's okay. Technology, it happens.
I smell. I
You
can't.
there?
I am.
Hello.
I think I think the internet's going to make me wrap this up.
Okay, there you go. I finally can hear you now.
Okay. I'm being forced to wrap it up, I think.
Well, that's okay. I still had a great time with you, and thank you so much for letting us do this. I appreciate you.
I do. I appreciate you too. I appreciate your energy, your enthusiasm, and the influence that you're having not only on my life but my kids who are also watching. And so I thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you. That made my day, and that's really what we're in this to do. You know, it's people don't realize you know, the impact that you can really make by just stepping out of the box and really making a difference. You know, I feel like there's a lot of people in the world that, you know what the problem is, and everybody wants to complain about it, but not too many people are willing to do what it takes to change it. So, you know, you're one of those people, and I really appreciate and commend you for all the hard work and dedication that you're doing, not only for yourself, but your family, and, you know, to help, you know, us grow as a whole. So thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, thank you again. I will take care.
Okay, God bless everybody.
Yep.